What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ICNV Drivers Edition, and today I got a very interesting conversation for you. Now, by the thumbnail, I know you're already sitting there saying he finally has realized the C8 E-Ray is the better car. And you know I have a love-hate relationship with the C8 E-Ray. I don't really hate the car, but I love it for what it does. And because I really wanted a hybrid platform car when I actually was thinking about getting the Acura NSX, the Corvette E-Ray always was on my radar, and there has been a few reasons why I actually haven't pursued a C8 E-Ray. But today I decided to talk about, is the C8 E-Ray a better car, or is it the best car you can buy? Because in a world where people are turning to AI to actually make more decisions, or should I say the best decision? Well, let's find out what AI actually says using ChatGPT and Google Gemini on which car is the actually best car you can buy. And just like me, I think you're going to be surprised. Let's talk about it. So if this is your first time to the channel, my name is Sho. This is ICNV Drivers Edition. We are an interactive community for car enthusiasts that love to drive cars to make you turn your head that aren't your everyday people movers. And when I say interactive car community, that's because if you hit me up on any one of my social media platforms or in the comments below with any type of topic or interest you want to discuss, and if it's interesting enough, I may even shoot a video on it. But let's dive into this one. So, how did this conversation actually come about? This is one of the few conversations that actually came up just from a casual conversation, meaning that many of you know I unloaded my C8, which I called Zeus. My plan is to get back into another performance car before the end of the year. I've actually been looking, I've been eagerly trying to hold off on jumping into a couple of cars because I truly want to see how the C8 market reacts once the C8 Grand Sport is out for 6 months, meaning people can actually get their hands on the car and drive them on the street. I'm not even going to lie to you. I may even want to go out and test drive or at least link up with somebody that actually owns a Grand Sport and see how it feels to see if that's the way I want to go moving forward. But as of right now, it's fun for me to sit back and look at the options that's out there because realistically, if the price point hits perfect on a car that has already sparked my interest, I may actually make a purchase. And that's the conversation piece that started this conversation. Because I was sitting back with a group of friends, and the cars has been on my radar for the longest. If you've been following the channel, has always been the Aston Martin DB11 V12, the AMG Mercedes GT GTC, and a C8 E-Ray or a C8 Z06. And we've had numerous conversations on the C8 E-Ray and the C8 Z06, which, because I'm dealing with a younger crowd now, said, well, why is it so hard for you to make a decision? And being quite frankly with you, it's because I'm a true car enthusiast and my love for cars vastly expands my actual wallet purchasing power. So in the midst of those cars I've actually sat there and showed to you, I still love the Mercedes S Coupe. And I have seen some reasonably priced Mercedes S Coupe V12 AMG 65s and some nice AMG S63 cars, which was the V8s with twin turbocharged engines. So those cars, just for the price point and something to, I would say, be more of an enthusiast purchase and drive, especially for a car lover like myself, I've been leaning towards maybe doing something like that. For this timeline, I'm waiting for a C8 Z06, or should I say my next true performance coupe / convertible purchase. Now, because I have friends that bring up interesting conversations, we decided to put this question to ChatGPT, or should I say Gemini, which we actually did both to see what the results would be. And surprisingly enough, based off my personality, ChatGPT says I should probably look at getting a purchase for the short term somewhere between $65,000 and less just to ride out for the next year to 18 months. I thought that was interesting because if you actually look at what I've been saying for the longest, that's kind of the timeline I want to do. When I enter information based off cars I'm actually interested in that price range, what will be surprising is that a base C8 is the number 2 option that it suggests I purchase. The number 1 option is actually a Mercedes AMG GT, just the base version for something to play with. But my beliefs is if I'm going to go that route, I might as well go to a GTC, which puts me back into my normal argument conversations. So how we ended up with the thumbnail conversation is just like this. When I went out and decided that my price range or my price cap would be $110,000, and based off what's on the market space today and what I can actually get for between the cars I listed, ChatGPT turns around and says the best car on the market for me to purchase would actually be a Corvette C8 E-Ray. It actually said, or the Mercedes AMG GTC. And that surprised me. Now, I thought that was interesting because there is no clear-cut winner. So it gives me a list of options of why I should choose the E-Ray and why I should choose the Mercedes AMG GTC. And what it actually states is quite astonishing. When it comes to a C8 E-Ray, it tells me I should target a car that is a 3LZ because the 3LZs in this short window have depreciated the hardest. And you can find the best bargain when it comes to your money in a 3LZ platform. And because they have depreciated so quickly up front, based off market space numbers, auction numbers, and so forth, things that you don't even have access to, but chat does, it tells you that going forward, it believes a 3LZ E-Ray heavily equipped will depreciate the least out of all the cars that we would mention. Now, followed by that, it also says the same thing for the Mercedes AMG GTC. It says the Mercedes AMG GTC at this point has taken the hardest depreciation, which they believe it has kind of flatlined out. So if you can find one anywhere between $78,000 and $95,000, you should have a high performance GT car with German engineering that will sustain its value probably for the next 3 to 5 years. Purchasing a AMG GTC over $95,000 signifies a car that you're probably going to lose some money in, but in the long run, it actually expects this car to be a solid purchase. So I had to sit back and say, wow, because I had never expected the Corvette E-Ray to hold so much weight, especially when you put the C8 Z06 in the mix for the same price range. But what they're basing it off of is performance, reliability, long-term depreciation expectations, and the ability to actually be driven as a daily driven car or whenever you desire all season long. So I think the all-season factor actually is what trumped the C8 Z06. But for the average E-Ray owner or all owners of E-Rays, I know this makes you feel good. And when I actually just removed that same conversation from the cars I desired and actually just put what's on the market today between the price range of $85,000 to $110,000, the C8 E-Ray was the dominant choice. And that's what surprised me the most. That the Corvette E-Ray, the car that people will not touch, based off AI information and predictions, it tells you to go out and buy a C8 E-Ray if you want the best performance car on the market space in that price range. So I think we just realized the C8 E-Ray is actually the best performance car you can buy for the money. I know many of you have actually been saying and stating that for quite some time, and I don't disagree with you. All I sat there and said is, based off me, the C8 Z06 is the better option. And since people don't believe that, I actually turned around and yes, I did what we have been arguing about for quite some time. Between the C8 E-Ray and the C8 Z06. Which car is the better car to buy? And it turns out and says the C8 E-Ray is actually better for street driving and all-weather usability. The Corvette C8 Z06 is the superior car when it comes to track performance and high-speed driving. So technically, neither car is objectively better. They are engineered for different types of driving. So the question comes down best to how you choose to use your car. And if you look at that, it turns around and gives a clear explanation that says the C8 E-Ray is the better car for the street. When it comes down to daily driving, daily comfort, the ability to be driven in all type of weather conditions, and its blistering speed within the low ranges of the actual legal street limits, the C8 E-Ray is the better car. The Z06 is the better car when it comes to high-speed performance and track driving. Many enthusiasts will gravitate to the C8 Z06 because it is the highest revving, naturally aspirated, flat-plane crank V8 reaching all the way up to 8,600 RPM. The performance of the car trumps the E-Ray once you cross 130 miles per hour. It delivers faster and more sustainable high-speed lap times on a track because you never have to worry about a battery depleting. Any long, straight line, high-speed driving, the Z06 is definitely the dominant car. Once you cross 135 miles per hour, the E-Ray loses any advantages it may have over a C8 Z06. So for drivers who like to play a higher miles per average in longer runs over a quarter mile, the Z06 would be the car to target. So the verdict from Gemini is, to say which one is actually better, it comes down to how you plan to use your car. So now what's funny about that is my wife uses ChatGPT all the time. And so she put in, based off my driving criteria and dynamics and everything I talk about when it comes to driving, my personal driving habits and desires, into her ChatGPT. ChatGPT actually stated, based off the personality and driving characteristics of ICNV Drivers Edition, the C8 Z06 when compared to the C8 E-Ray will actually be the best car to fit my driving characteristics, which I've always sat there and said. But it did actually say, if modification is on the table, they believe an E-Ray with a Callaway modification may be the better choice. That caught me by surprise. 840 plus horsepower with over 700 pound-feet of torque, that actually became quite interesting because I have to laugh. Does AI really know us that well? And so at the end of the day, even artificial intelligence turns around and tells you the same thing I've been saying for the longest. I was quite skeptical at first, feeling like maybe it's because I'm using a platform or my devices, which they always are listening, and they know how I heavily favor certain things. So I turned around and asked my friend to utilize his cell phone, his laptop, and so forth, and asked the questions that I just proposed to you, and he got similar results. So at the end of the day, if you have some time and you want to see what AI says about which car is the better purchase, enter it into your phone and sit back and let the information come to your fingertips. Because the one thing that AI actually does that we don't have access to, and it's helped me redefine and look at some things that may change in the future coming forward, is that it actually taps into a lot of sources and information that we don't have access to. So when some of the comments made were based off the numbers of what the cars are selling for at the auction, many owners don't consider auction prices. When the AI platform sat there and said to me that you don't want to buy this car because this car is selling at market value, which leaves a lot of room for you to lose heavy on depreciation when I took the information provided by AI and actually used it to target cars that caught my interest, because it asked me that I want to actually pick out or discuss any car in particular. So I actually chose a C8 E-Ray that was on the market for $109,000. I actually chose the C8 Z06 that was on the market for $102,000. I actually chose a Mercedes AMG GTC that was on the market for $86,000 and sold within a matter of 2 weeks. And I went back and forth on that Mercedes AMG GTC because ChatGPT said the best car for the money and looking to keep money in your pocket was that Mercedes AMG GTC. So I weighed my options and went back and forth before I decided to move forward with a purchase, but ultimately the car was gone. So like they say, when you sleep on it or hesitate to make the decision, you will often miss great deals, especially since that point in time. Most Mercedes AMG GTCs, even the ones that were currently on the market space, have all went up $5,000 to $7,000 in pricing. Yeah, $5,000 to $7,000 in pricing. So, like I stated before, it takes information that we can't readily get our hands accessible on, and it will actually let you know, based off the market space, if the car you're buying is at the higher tier of the market space or at the lower tier, whether they consider it a great purchase or not. So when I pointed out the E-Ray 3LZ I decided to consider, it actually told me that was probably the best purchase for the money, because I was looking at an E-Ray which had well-maintained service records that was selling at the lower end of the E-Ray spectrum, including auction prices for similar equipped vehicles, because this E-Ray actually had a MSRP of $147,000 and it was practically at a $40,000 discount. So I don't think it's a bad idea to actually utilize AI with your next vehicle purchase. At least put the information with the VIN number into AI and ask if this would be a good purchase based off market conditions or similar equipped cars that I can get my hands on today. And let AI tell you if that decision is the right one to make. That's all I have today. So yes, the C8 E-Ray, if you disagree or agree, let me know in the comments below. Right now, it's hands down, according to artificial intelligence, the best performance car you can buy for the money, especially below $110,000. If you don't agree, let me know in the comments below. ICNV Driver Edition. Go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the ICNV Driver Edition community. We are an interactive community, which means if you hit me up on any one of my social media platforms or in the comments below, I'll do my best to respond. And if the topic you bring up is interesting enough, I may even shoot a video on it. Don't forget, we were all made in His image and given dominion over the world, which means we weren't just meant to be. So chase your dreams, build your visions, and never, ever give up. I mean, let's be honest. What is a world without hope? We were all given unique gifts to become the best version of us that we can possibly be. So step into your calling and become the blessing to the world that you were meant to be. Remember, you can be the one and not the one at the same time. It's okay to be unique. Just don't forget to stay humble, stay focused, and stay blessed. And I'll see you in these streets.